to the Common Fan podcast. Well, here we are, 54 games in 7 countries, and we're almost where we began. But of course, I refer to 2007, when South Africa hosted the very first ICC T20 World Cup, and India were the inaugural victors, having been captained by a young, long-haired, motorcycle-loving bloke from regional India. And then after that, he did do pretty well, that bloke. He led India to a couple of other ICC trophies, and after that, we haven't won any. But anyhow, before we get into it, and we've got a lot of things to do, a reminder, please subscribe to our show by clicking on the subscribe button right below. We'd love to hear from all our common fans, so please do send your comments in via mail or the comments section. Let's get straight into it. We've got an action-packed show. So we have our usual suspects, the celebrity BFF of Mr. Diljit Dosanjh, Mr. Vijay Narayan Rangarajan, and another bloke from Ranchi who may not have long hair anymore, but still loves motorcycles, and he also loves cricket. So Mr. Ritvik Shekhar. Let's get started into it, boys. Well, unfortunately, despite the hype and presence of Wasma Ayubi, the Afghanistan versus South Africa game was a damp squib. South Africa did to Afghanistan what other teams have done to South Africa in ICC knockout trophies, eh? Some of the worst batting by Afghanistan. I think it's probably a reflection of the fact that they've never been in such a situation. They've never been in a pressure situation, a knockout situation before. So, I think it's probably a reflection of that. Ritvik, your thoughts?
Well, I feel it was a combination of pressure and pitch that did the Afghans in. It was a pitch with variable bounce, the little that I saw of the game, and Rabada and Nokia were a nightmare on the pitch, and the Afghans looked absolutely hapless. Well played though, Afghanistan. I just hope that their meteoric rise in cricket continues and doesn't become a flash in the pan like Kenyan cricket was. Remember 2003 World Cup, they also made it to the semis, only to be beaten by India. I think Dada got 100 or something. That said, the Proteas for a change are looking like they mean business. The ghost of Hansi Cronium must be smiling from the skies, and legends such as Barry Richards, Kepler Wessels, Jack Scales, Sean Pollock, Alan Donald, Lance Klusener, A.B. de Villiers, and they have such a long list of legendary and likable cricketers. They must be waiting with bated breath for tomorrow. Oh, a part of me almost wants the South Africans to win. What do you think, Vijay?
Oh, look, everybody's been calling it the battle of the underdogs. I beg to disagree. They're both solid teams, and South Africa finally look like they deserve that spot in the in the finals when they beat Afghanistan the way they beat Afghanistan. And you're absolutely right. There's a bit of nostalgia here as well. Growing up, I mean, apart from the heartbreaks that we saw as supporters of the Indian cricket team, there were also adjacent heartbreaks when we were supporting and rooting for South Africa to win. 1999 semifinals, Alan Donald taking that cursed run comes to mind. Herschel Gibbs dropping that catch comes to mind. Lance Klusener absolutely smoking those 2 boundaries, bringing the required runs to like 2 from 3 balls, which is when Alan Donald took that unfortunate run. So yeah, there's also a part of me that's rooting for the South Africans to win. But before all of that, I must say I am a little disappointed by the fact that there was a presidential debate in the US today, and there was not a single mention or question of cricket becoming the national sport of America and what the respective presidential candidates, 2 senile men who looked like they might have pooped their pants. Absolutely no opinion on cricket. So I'm definitely not voting for any of them. # not my president. Forget the fact that I'm not even American. PK, thoughts?
Fair enough. Yeah, 1, you're not American. 2, you're not Indian, so you can't really vote for a president. You're an Australian citizen. We have Governor General.
Can't vote for an Indian president anyway, PK. Come on. I understand you're a big Australian, but come on.
That's true.
Saurabh for POTUS.
Saurabh for POTUS. Potai, maybe, President of India. Anyway, fair point, Vijay, about the Afghanistan-South Africa game. Look, the other game which we loved, and Ritvik's just pissed off. I don't know where he's gone, but we'll get him back. The other game we loved was India versus England. It wasn't as hopelessly as one-sided as the game before it, but India thoroughly outclassed England. Rohit's batting was following the established.
Oh, what an innings!
Previously when we've played cricket, we always said, wait for the bad ball. Now the strategy is every ball is a bad ball, or treat every ball as a bad ball, and whack it to kingdom come. India's spin trio, Obviously, Akshar, Kuldeep, and Ravindra Jadeja, who was much maligned on the show last time we shot. We said he's done absolutely bugger all, but I think I was hoping for that. They made mincemeat of the Poms. Vijay, you saw the game. You
Yeah.
kept one eye on social media. What are your reports?
Before we say anything, look, one of my predictions came true, which was South Africa winning over Afghanistan. Of course, I wasn't expecting it to be such a one-sided game. The other thing was I was expecting Jadeja to do well. I mean, he didn't pick up wickets, but fair to say he did have a really good spell, and he kept the pressure on. So that was one good takeaway. Now, coming to the social media aspect of it, all I could see was Englishmen whining, right? And what's it with Australia and England when they're on the losing side of any tournament? Like, immediately their media and press mechanism starts to go into this whinging mode. And it mind you, it didn't even start with the India-England game. It started with the Afghanistan game. They were looking at the Afghanistan defeat and going, oh, what poor scheduling. Afghanistan barely had 2 days and they had no time to practice. They had to get to the venue, blah, blah, blah. I think the Afghans were partying all night and they didn't have enough time for practice. And there's been a 48-hour gap between most games this time around. And there was also this other whole contention about India getting a fixed ground no matter what the results of the Super 8s were. It's happened in the past for a lot of teams. So there's nothing. And you know what? The ICC decides it based on what would get them the most viewership because it is a for-profit organization, right? So obviously, Indian games are scheduled when the viewership's likely to be the highest. Now, what I will say is if that scheduling caused in any way the pitch to favor India over another team, if it made the game one-sided for, like, say, one half of the game for one innings, then sure, fair point. But it's the same goddamn pitch that both teams are playing on. And India lost the toss. So England, obviously, there's a pitch report. The captains are allowed to read the pitch before the game. So I mean, I don't get the criticism around, the pitch being shit. Okay, look, to be fair, I did get reminiscences of Ahmedabad Test Series 2021, especially watching Aksar bowl those ones that absolutely kept low and kept hitting the stumps. So that was good fun though. Like, India, I have to give credit to the batsmen, the way they batted, especially up at the top, Rohit Sharma and Surya Kumar Yadav, because those were crucial runs on a wicket that we had no idea would play the way it did, and there were so many balls that were keeping low. So yeah, I think it was an all-round classy performance by the Indian team, and we outplayed England fair and square. So the whiners can shut up and watch India take on South Africa in the final. Ritvik, thoughts on the India-England game?
So it's a bit like history in reverse. Back in the 19th century, we had Gujarati getting a bad time in South Africa and then coming back and then beating the shit out of the Englishmen. And yesterday, a Gujarati backed the English, and now tomorrow, I'm hoping that he goes back and makes merry against the South Africans and takes revenge for what happened around 150 years back.
Mind you, these means are non-violent as well.
There was two good Jews, right? Two good Jews yesterday. Akshay Patel and Ravindra Jadeja.
Correct. Yeah, for a change, even Jadeja came good. The only man who still doesn't seem to put bat to ball in this World Cup for India is Virat Kohli. And I'll just echo Rohit Sharma's sentiment that he's probably saving the best for the last. And we need him in a game like the final, which is scheduled for tomorrow. So just hoping that India continues to do what they've been doing. Rohit Sharma continues with his belligerence at the top, and Virat Kohli also gets some runs.
Great.
Okay, are you set for the final?
Yeah, great segue. I was going to say, look, the big game, 24 hours, we're going to either have a new name inscribed on the trophy, or as we all want, the cup's coming home. This is the first time both teams have met in a final. Obviously, South Africa's first ever men's ICC Trophy, and India's third consecutive final in an ICC Trophy, all right? Obviously, the World Test Championship, the One Day International, the World Cup, One Day International, and now the T20. So, Vijay, will this be the third time lucky for Bleed Blue, or will South Africa finally taste victory? And before you start, question for you guys. Where were you when Joginder Sharma bowled that ball and Sreesanth took that catch? I think it was close to midnight here in Australia. It was around Sydney. It was in Adelaide. I was there in Adelaide, and I couldn't shout out because mum and dad were sleeping. So I had to just, savor my happiness in silence. But what about you, Vijay?
I was actually, funnily enough, not very far from where I am right now. I was in Chennai. I was at my friend's house. It was the first working day of my working career, right? So I had just joined this company and we had finished orientation, and that was the last day of the orientation week. So it was technically the first official working day. And well, obviously, there were a bunch of us college graduates, and we asked for permission to leave early at like 4 o'clock because the match was starting, I think, at 6 or something. And we ended up going to this friend's place and watching the entire game there. And obviously, there were fireworks at night after the game, but that's where we were. And it was such a thrilling game. It was like amazing. Ritvik, how about you?
So back in 2007, I was there in engineering in VIT in my third year, and 2007 was a very peculiar year. So earlier in the year, India had the 50 overs World Cup. We probably fielded one of our strongest looking sides on paper in West Indies. And we had this huge auditorium inside VIT called the Anna Auditorium. And if you speak to any VITian, which is roughly half of the country's population, you would know what an auditorium means. Like it's huge. And that's where they showed us all the games on big screen. And that's where the whole disaster unfolded, where India lost to Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. And when the T20 World Cup happened, the management again was kind enough to show the World Cup games on the big screen. But we, being your typical superstitious cricket fans, we decided not to go there because we somehow blamed the auditorium for the Indian cricket team's
All of
loss.
these superstitions are what make India win cups, right? So you cannot like belittle
Correct.
first beliefs of individuals.
Yes, yes. And in our hostel, which had around 8 to 10 floors, we had a TV on every alternate floor near the stores, near the stairs, and a small 21-inch TV around which 50 to 70 people would crowd and watch a game. And we chose to do this instead of sitting in a large auditorium where we could watch the game on a big screen. And it was a wonderful memory. We had all kinds of podcasts. There was this friend of mine called Varun Jaiswal. Uh, every time he would come down the stairs, Pakistan would lose a wicket. And he'd continue to do that at least 4 or 5 times. And trust me, a wicket would fall within 2 minutes of him doing that.
Yeah, I mean, they are valid
Ask him to
superstitions.
be ready and be somewhere close to stairs. And that's where we saw Yuvraj Singh hit 6 sixes. And I remember when he hit the first two, I just loudly shouted, as boys do in crowds, that char or, and somebody laughed. And we all know what Yuvraj Singh did after that. So it was a crazy, crazy night. And in this, for all these Indian cricket fans that we are, there's a very short list of cherished memories where the team has won, and we have derived huge joy out of it. So for me, the T20 World Cup from 2007 is right there at the top. Probably more than the 2011 World Cup also, because this was a very young and exuberant team. There were hardly any expectations. There was honestly no pressure. Like there was no pressure of this being the last World Cup that Sachin Tendulkar plays. Will we see him play again or not? There was just a bunch of boys going out there and making merry, and lo and behold, they came back with the trophy. So a lot of nostalgia associated with the 2007 World Cup. That last clip of Misbah playing that scoop, and I think it still gives me goosebumps when the ball goes high up in the air and Shastri's booming voice says, "In the air, Srisan takes it." I still feel I can get a small heart attack at that very moment, even if I watch that clip now.
I just want to add something here. Pakistan were also a really, really dangerous side in 2007. Like, literally and
Yes.
figuratively. Like, they were a dangerous finalist in 2007 in the T20 World Cup, and they killed Bob Boma. So, kudos to India for doing what we
Jesus.
did.
We should put a legal disclaimer on that. Just in case someone wants to sue the shit out of us. Let's start wrapping up, boys. Prediction for the game and MVP. I'll get started. I reckon it's going to be Kohli's time to shine. He's not done so well, but I think it's going to be this game. And in terms of the team, I reckon, once again, as I did in June 2023, in November 2023, I will be bleeding blue. And I hope this time the tears that come are out of joy, the speechlessness that comes is out of happiness, and the numbness is not knowing what to do next. So here's hoping the Indian men channel the feats of Smriti and Shafali against South Africa earlier today. We'll get to that very shortly, but Ritvik and Vijay.
Well, the man who just said that he's going to bleed blue is wearing a green hoodie just a day before South Africa plays a World Cup final.
With all due
So,
respect,
as
I don't know if you
always,
noticed the Indian flag, but it has tinges of green there, my friend.
or really,
What
we're
is the
talking about South
Pakistani
Africa
flag?
wearing the green jersey. Yeah.
No,
So,
no, it's very cool.
as always, the man's loyalties are as fake as his accent. So, so, so my again, like I'll keep the tradition alive. I think South Africa is going to win the World Cup, and Rabada is going to be the player of the match. Simple.
Okay.
Right. I have a feeling it's going to be a really closely fought final, and India are going to come out on top. And my MVP would be Rohit Sharma in this game. Having said that, I think this is probably one of those rare World Cups where I really wouldn't mind if South Africa won. So it's going to be like either a really sweet outcome or a bittersweet outcome, but there will be a little bit of joy, irrespective of what the result is. So yeah, all the best to the teams.
Fair enough. All the best to both teams, and let's hope we do bleed blue at the end. Boys, before we wrap up, I want to talk about this game. Vijay, it's happening in your neck of the woods. South Africa versus India. South Africa 2020 champions in the women's game, but they're playing a pretty shit test match. Shafali Verma, an extraordinary 205 runs, and Smriti Mandhana, 149. And then Jemima Rodriguez, third half century or fourth half century, 525, boys. I mean, these girls are fantastic.
Yeah,
Is
look,
it reminiscent of what Sehwag and Dravid did to Pakistan in Lahore or Karachi?
It could be, yeah. Wasn't they?
Karachi or Multan?
Multan, I think it was.
Multan's very
Yeah,
good
it should
at
be Multan. It should be Multan, Sultan of Multan. That's
Yeah.
what they call him, right?
Yeah, the Sultan of Multan, yes.
I watched about an hour of the game, and when I tuned in, Smriti had just gotten out at 149.
Well, that's why you shouldn't have tuned in.
That was a
stay away from the television.
I tuned in after she got out, right? So, but look, I think it's a turning shape-off wicket, and the girls have just batted really, really well to get to the scores that they have. So I'm going to be interested in seeing how South Africa play. I feel like a declaration should come sometime during the first session of tomorrow. And it'll be interesting to see how the South African girls cope against some quality Indian spin if we've got that in the squad.
Hrithik,
Actually, I might go for the game because apparently entry is free and it's happening.
Well, I was going to ask you. You know, you're in your neck of the woods. Get some of that triplet.
Suddenly, I just realized tomorrow, the Saturday, I've got pretty much nothing to do, so might as well go and cheer for the girls.
Of course.
If you have nothing to do, at least upload the video, please.
Yeah, after I upload the video, guys.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Look, that's all we have time for on the Common Fan podcast. Thank you to my fellow podcasters, Vijay and Hrithik. Once again, if you've loved our show or if you hated our show, please do subscribe at the bottom. If you have opinions on what we could do next, what we can do, or if you just want us to stop podcasting, please do tell us in the comment section below or email us at thecommonfan91@gmail.com. Have a great night, and as usual, have fun playing, watching, listening, supporting, or even talking about cricket. Thank you very much and have a great time.